So let's kind of transition. We talked a lot about what it was like in school for you with ADHD. How is it career-wise? You've had quite an extensive career path that's taken many different twists and turns. So what has that been like dealing with ADHD? And once again, still untreated, really no.
Yeah, no, I mean, and here's why it's tough to say, because I can give you equally extreme examples of how it's been amazing, superpower-ish, all this other stuff that I think, and also I can point to where it's hindered me in my career. I can point to where I feel I could be way further than I am in a lot of areas had I not, had ADHD or dealt with the stuff that came from having ADHD or whatever it is.
Right. Well, kind of like what we did earlier, can you give us a positive example where ADHD has really helped you in your career, and then maybe a negative where it has hindered you?
My ability to hyper-focus on things.
Yeah.
And also retain, I don't know if this is like everybody with ADHD, but my ability to retain stuff too. If I am hyper-focused on it and I consume it, like the monster from, I'll do it right now, from Transformers, that big one that was like sucking up the stuff, I can't remember. But that's what I can do once I get really into something.
Right.
I'll consume a lock in and it's done. I can also recall things, all this stuff with ADHD, and not just be hyper-focused on one thing. I can pick up and switch to a multitude of different topics. So the reason why my resume, I think, has been such an onion and I've done so much amazing stuff is because of my ability to switch it up and then apply what I learned over here to here and then apply from here to here and retain and do all of it. On the flip side, it took me truly years and years and years and years to finish a project. When I say project, that's even businesses.
Yeah.
Do you know how many, you probably do, you know how many businesses I started in high school and out of high school that were successful and could have been, for all I know, wouldn't even be here with you or anybody. It'd been rich as hell or happier, I don't know what, but I didn't finish.
Yeah.
Or I couldn't get out of my own damn way to finish X, Y, and Z.
Right.
I think that's what also led me into some of the career choices that I've chose. And I'm only saying that because did I really choose, or it was out of law of necessity that I chose the career paths that I chose, and because they were the sandboxes that would allow me to kind of go under the radar of having ridiculous ADHD and just be an eccentric creative or a salesperson or whatever the hell I was doing. So
2 points I want to add to the positive and to the negative. With the positive, one thing that I've just seen from our talks and knowing you is your ability to think outside the box. I see that as a real strength with having ADHD. I think everything you've touched has had this creative aspect to it, which, in my opinion, I correlate to the having ADHD.
Yeah.
The negative, I love that you brought this point up because I feel like, at least in my experience with many of the people I've worked with, they've experienced this where they do 90% of something and that last 10% they just struggle. They can't do it. Either they've lost interest or it feels like pulling teeth.
Yeah.
And
I figured that out, by the way. I'm not going to get into it now, but it took me, and I'm sorry to cut you off, but it took me way later in life to finally figure out how to live a life like that and be able to actually complete stuff.
So this is a great moment. What has motivated you? What has pushed you to do that last 10%? Because I'm sure there's tons of people out there that are please share.
Not to belabor this talk or anything, but, and I'll hit you with fast bullet points. I was going to be a pro skater.
Yeah.
I was sponsored, I was in stuff, and at one point I had to make a different decision because of a bunch of shit we won't get into now, but I ended up doing sales. Why was I saying this?
What's helped you push you to do that last 10%?
Oh, okay, yeah. So I was in sales and I made a ridiculous amount of money for some of my age, probably shouldn't have been making at the time. and I was doing a lot of stuff, and I ended up losing it all.
Yeah.
I ended up losing it all because of poor choices or whatever, but also developed a gnarly drug habit in my early 20s.
Yeah.
Like, I was living like it was a 90s Puff Daddy video,
Yeah.
and then had my own VH1 behind the music.
Right.
Like, all before I hit 27. And I say all that because by the time I hit 27 and I had to restart everything and, you know, homelessness, all this crazy crap, like, that was the true, like, you need to figure out something.
Okay.
Because no matter how cocky you may think you are, or great you think you are, or how shameful, embarrassed, hurt, and you're gonna figure it out on your own and not let anybody see that, or whatever it is, like, I'm done. Like, I give. Learned a bunch of stuff, focused on myself. I didn't join like a weird cult or do anything weird, but like, basically what I did was I talked to more people. When I didn't just talk to more people, like therapy and stuff like that, like really opened up to people.
So you got vulnerable, you started learning self-help and
all of it.
Therapy and
all of it. The routine, consistency. There's a lot of stuff I did, but also business-wise, because I mean, I'm an entrepreneur, business, it's important to me, blah, blah. Business-wise though, and project-wise, I allowed myself to ask for help.
That's a huge one.
I had to, like, give it up to the universe, if you will.
Yeah.
Not try and control outcomes. Be okay with, like, there's so many different things I had to do. And I think at the end of the day was, for both, to kind of put a bow on it, it's being verbal and asking for help. And by the way, if it's the wrong help, recognizing that, okay, it's the wrong help. It's not the end of the world. It's not saying it's never going to work for me. Just find someone else. Keep doing it until you find something or somebody that works. Right. Whether it's religion or AA, NA, or not anything weird or like drinking Kool-Aid shit, but like, you know what I mean? If you find self-help, any of that stuff, woo-woo, even ayahuasca, whatever the hell you need to do, if you find something though that's healthy and all that other stuff in your diet and water intake, like I'm excited about this stuff because it just, I don't know, it finally, once I got out of my own head and I was able to slow the frick down and got rocked pretty hard by life, I was able to take a step back. And I'm not saying like, oh, life's been great ever since. Like, no, hell no, it's been a struggle. I mean, you see behind the scenes what goes on. But I will say my life's been completely different since then. Yeah.
And I love that you mentioned it wasn't just going to therapy or getting self-help. It was everything. It was structure. It was routine, schedule, what you were putting in your body, living a healthy lifestyle, actually using these skills that you obtained along the way. It was all of it that really helped propel you forward and finish that 10% in your life.
Yeah, I've been building a bike my whole life, if you will.
I love that.
And I wasn't using each little spoke to hold the wheels of my bike up, if you will. Yeah. So finally, when I'm like, okay, I'm using all the spokes, like the tire can roll down the hill. Finally, when I'm like, and it's a practice, it's not. But you know, eating right, being vulnerable, saying this, having daily practices. Also having creative time, that was another huge thing. Like learning how to time block, right? Like
speaking my language,
Pomodoro method, all that stuff. Like when's the time to just run free and it's okay and all this other stuff and be creative and write and journal. That's another big thing. Writing, huge. Like still to this day, that's why I got notepads everywhere in this building. Like writing's a big deal because it gets out a lot of the crap that allows you to kind of go, okay, what do we got?
Well, let's not call it crap. Thoughts, ideas.
Yeah, well, you know what? I'll use another analogy. It's like you open up the fridge, and at one point it was all food, but that's rotten, and that's probably got about a day left. So you got to clear that out and kind of go, okay, what do I got that I can make a delicious meal with? And that's kind of like what writing and a lot of this creative outlet and skateboarding and walking and just physical activity, it clears out the crap.
Okay.
So that you can make an actual healthy meal and be able to live your freaking life. Because that's the biggest thing. and I believe it's no different than having addiction issues or a disease or whatever, because it takes place, the maintenance of it and what you have to do takes place in your life.
Yeah.
And you have to deal with it, and also not to go all around in circles, but like the shame and guilt and just everything that comes with the whisperings, or the fact that I didn't get the job, or this person didn't like me, or I didn't get this date, or this person, was it because I was too much? Was it because I was Was it because I didn't finish stuff? Like relationship wise, holy shit.
Yeah, that's next where we're going to go. But before we go there,
shit.
real quick, I just want to make sure we do highlight something you said. Individuals with ADHD have to find a way to connect to that creative force, whatever they're passionate about, whatever really connects with them. That ADHD brain needs that. It seeks it out. So I love that you were able to recognize that. And not only recognize it, but build it into your daily routine and schedule and give it its space.
Yeah.